upon a time, there lived a great billionaire named Richard Wallace. Richard was not only wealthy, but also kind-hearted, respected, and admired across the land. He had everything a man could ever dream of: power, riches, and fame. But in his heart, there was one dream he longed for above all others: a family of his own. Richard was happily married to a gentle and loving woman named Catherine. Their love was strong, and the only thing missing in their lives was a child. Together, they prayed, waited, and hoped for the blessing of a baby. But unknown to Richard, his own mother, Lady Margaret, stood as the dark shadow over their happiness. Lady Margaret never approved of Catherine. She called her weak, unworthy, and not fit to carry the blood of the Wallace family. In her pride, she vowed that no child of Catherine would ever live. The couple tried again and again to start a family, but tragedy followed them at every turn. Catherine conceived once, twice, thrice, yet every pregnancy ended in miscarriage. Each time, Richard held his broken wife as she cried, wondering if fate had cursed them. But it was no curse. Lady Margaret, filled with jealousy and hatred, was secretly the hand behind their pain. She poisoned Catherine's food and tampered with her medicine, making sure that no child would survive in the womb. She smiled at her son in the daylight, but in the shadows, she carried out her wicked plan. Years passed, and Catherine's body grew weak from the endless loss. But Richard's love for her never faded. He encouraged her, prayed with her, and together they held on to hope. Finally, after many years of tears, Catherine carried a pregnancy full term. When the baby boy was born, Richard's joy knew no bounds. He named him Alexander, and he called him the light of my life. The mansion that had once echoed with sorrow now rang with the cries and laughter of a child. For the first time in years, Richard felt complete. But Lady Margaret did not rejoice. Behind her cold smile, her hatred burned brighter than ever. She saw Alexander as a threat proof that Catherine had triumphed. In her twisted heart, she decided that the child must not live. At first, she pretended to care for the baby. She offered to babysit, to feed him, to help Catherine rest. But in secret, she began her cruel work again. Little by little, she slipped poison into his milk, weakening him day by day. Catherine noticed the child's sudden illness. He cried endlessly, refused to eat, and his tiny body grew frail. Doctors came and went, shaking their heads, saying it was a strange infection, but no medicine could save him. One tragic night, baby Alexander drew his last breath. The mansion fell into silence once again, but this time the silence was heavier, darker. Richard was crushed. He held his lifeless son in his arms, tears streaming down his face, unable to believe his fate. Catherine collapsed in grief, her heart shattered beyond repair. The family mourned. The people mourned. But only Lady Margaret stood in secret satisfaction, believing she had erased Catherine's bloodline forever. Yet the truth has a way of coming to light. One day, while Richard searched through his mother's chambers, he discovered hidden letters, strange bottles, and powders she had used. His blood ran cold as he read her words, confessions of how she had protected the Wallace family by destroying every child Catherine tried to bring into the world. The pain inside Richard turned to fire. The woman he trusted, the mother he honored, had destroyed his wife, his children, and now his only son. His heart, once soft with love, grew hard with rage. That night, Richard confronted Lady Margaret. He stood before her, his eyes red with fury, a knife clutched tightly in his hand. "Why, mother?" he thundered. "Why did you kill my child? Why did you destroy every seed of happiness in my life?" Lady Margaret trembled, but pride still sat in her voice. "I did it for you, Richard. That woman was never worthy. Her blood was weak, and her children would stain our family name." Richard's chest heaved as his grip tightened on the knife. Catherine wept in the corner, begging him not to lose himself. But his mother's words rang in his ears, drowning out everything else. He moved closer, pressing the blade near her throat. The once proud Lady Margaret now shook in fear, whispering desperately, "I'm sorry, I did it for you." But in Richard's eyes, there was no forgiveness left. The mother he once loved was gone. All that remained before him was the murderer of his children, the destroyer of his destiny. And in that dark moment, the mansion echoed not with love, but with the terrifying cry of a son betrayed by the very woman who gave him life.